Hello and welcome to Concert Pipeline. I'm Steve Jones. Today on the program, we have Paul Rappaport, an author who wrote a book, and this book is really awesome. I really enjoyed it. I dove into it, and I almost couldn't put it down. It was so gripping. He has this new book called Gliders Over Hollywood: Airships, Airplanes, and the Art of Rock Promotion. You may not know Paul Rappaport by name, but you absolutely know him by reputation. He was so pivotal in working with some amazing artists and kind of helping them get a leg up from the rock promotion side. He worked with radio stations. He got songs on the air, and these are artists that you know from Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones to Paul McCartney to Bob Dylan to like some really serious legends that he talks about and kind of just shares his story behind the curtain in this Gliders Over Hollywood book. The book comes out as of the release tomorrow on April 15th. Yes, tax day, and I definitely recommend picking it up wherever you can get it. Amazon's a good place to get that. I'm sure there's a bunch of other places too, but check it out if you like this podcast, if you're into rock and roll and you want to hear some of these stories like I did. I mean, this is my bread and butter. I love hearing people's stories, but this is a guy who, while he has his own band, he's not the typical guest for Concert Pipeline, and that we usually have musicians and bands on. He is the guy that made this stuff happen, and I really thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. It's a bit of a long one, so I'm not going to ramble too much here at the beginning. We're going to get into it here. I will just say before we bring Paul in that I am really excited about some of the stuff that we have coming up. Also in the coming weeks, we have Lexi Jones on the program next week. And that was a really fun chat. Also taking my son down to AC/DC at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Looking forward to that show and going to have some coverage of that. I just went with my son to VacaCon here in Vacaville, a convention, and talked to Jason Mewes from the Kevin Smith movies. I met him in years past, but it was cool to get to talk to him for a moment. So got that. And then Sid Simons, also a guest who's been on the program before, but I think I'm going to be interviewing him at his show at Brick and Mortar in San Francisco. So lots of fun stuff coming up, and great content down the road. But right now, we got a really fun chat with Paul Rappaport. So let's go ahead and let's bring Paul on in. Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Hey, buddy. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Where are you from? Where are you calling from?
I'm up north. I'm in Northern California, outside
okay.
Sacramento. Are you in LA now, or you're on the West Coast, right?
No, we moved here in 80.
Oh, okay.
I worked for Columbia out there for a dozen years, and then I came to run the rock department here in 80. We stayed here. We're New Yorkers now, but half of my brain is California, and when I go to California, I shut the New York brain off. to the California brain, Did you grow up in California?
Yeah, I've lived in California most of my life, really. So no, it's pretty much what I know. But
it's my son lives out there now. He's got a family out there now.
Yeah, I like to start from the beginning though, and I mean, we'll talk extensively about your book, which encompasses so much, and you're such a great storyteller. I loved it. It was very hard for me to put down, but like, tell me.
You know what? I just give me a second to take that in, because you understand something. I've written a book, and now it's occurred to me that people are going to you write it so people are going to read it, and I'm like, oh shit, I hope they like. It's like, I mean, so I just need to, what you just said, I just want to soak it in for a second, because believe it or not, it's like, how can I say it? It's sensitive. I know, so I just, you know what? It's like, thank God.
Yes. No. Well, you're talking to someone who's like, I'd say a target demographic for you, because like I grew up. I mean, I was about to ask you about kind of your growing up and what you. I mean, and listening to as a kid, but really, I mean, this is encompassing my world. This is like a dream of mine. Started. I've been interviewing bands since I was like 18 and or something.
Yeah,
And
but I'm looking at you, and how old are you now? 21? I mean,
is it 19 or 20? Thank you. I'll take. Let me just take that in and
no,
sit
okay.
on that for a minute.
So what bands were you interviewing?
Back then, I mean, I interviewed. Okay, one of the first ones was Better Than Ezra. I mean, we interviewed Ted Nugent, George Thorogood.
Whoa, how was Ted? Ted's fucking
Uh,
nuts. He's out of his fucking mind.
oh yeah, he was, and I was.
I love Ted. He's crazy. He's
Yeah. You're hitting it. And so encompassing that in his tour bus for 30 minutes, just like where he's talking about the performance and it's gonna like defecate down my neck and everything was
Oh
great.
no,
Yeah.
there was a huge concert years ago called Cal Jam in Los Angeles, and Ted was the
Yeah.
headliner, but Ted was in Africa hunting, and they had to fly Ted back on an army plane because he couldn't get back. There was some big, they put him in an army vehicle, whatever, to fly him back, right? So he lands, and I'm in the trailer with friends of mine on radio, and Mary Turner's there. She's getting ready to interview Ted. But Ted walks in, but Ted's brain is still in Africa, right? And
Uh-huh.
she's like, "Oh, Ted, we're at Cal Jam. Look at all these people. What do you think?" He goes, "I don't know. I was just shooting jumbucks and tucker bags, and I just had the rifle and the fucking rhino, and like we're sitting there going, holy shit, like But he's
Yeah.
lovable. You gotta love him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I interviewed him outside the Fillmore West, and I mean, and just seeing his performance, and he opened with like the national anthem and him rocking the guitar and waving this American flag,
Yeah, no,
and
he's
yeah,
big on all that stuff. I mean,
yeah,
I love Ted. I mean, Ted Nugent's rock and roll. What can I say?
yeah, yeah.
But so you're growing up, okay, but so you're younger.
So,
So do you like are you listening to any of the music that sort of like I grew up with, like Stones
yeah,
and Pink Floyd? Are you listening to
like
that stuff? Or are you like, is that
I'll,
not for
I'll,
you?
I'll tell you, so my musical tastes were pretty delayed. I mean, I had a weird child. I was over the kid. I didn't go to one school for more than 2 years until high school, so I didn't have like that friend group that kind of influenced me until like junior college. And so then I started like when I was interviewing bands, I started developing my musical taste and building that up and listening to a lot of classic rock and that sort of thing. But I didn't like grow up on it as kids. My parents weren't influential with me musically, and my mom would listen to whatever pop junk in the car, and and stuff. So didn't have a great music taste growing up. But then when I started building it, I had friends kind of help guide me, and we'd go out and talk to these to artists and kind of whether it's to the level of Ted Nugent and George Thorogood or smaller bands, whoever's coming through the Bay Area, really, we go out and interview them at their shows, and it was just great, and getting to be and immerse myself in that, was incredible. I mean, it was we did it like every week, and I still kind of do it just about every week, talking to bands. And so the way I listen to music is just completely different because I have bands I love, but a lot of bands I'll like listen to heavily for a couple of days and do my research and build up to have that conversation with them, and then almost never again. in many cases, because I've done hundreds of bands interviews, that that's a lot of the way I listen to music, and then I'll pull in my stuff, comfort food, and the stuff that I enjoy once in a while too. So it's a little bit different than most people. I mean, a lot different than I think most people because of what I do. So
Yeah, but you're passionate, which is great.
yeah, for sure. And you, I mean, as well too. I mean, I'm really interested in what I think. The book covers so much, and you've had so many stories built into your life that I mean, a lot of it'll leave for people to read in the book. But I'm interested in the piece for you that got you off the ground. Like where you went from being that intern to the man, really, so to speak. Like
That's a long journey, right? Because first of all, I'm a kid growing up in the 60s. there's an explosion of music like never before, every genre. Okay, now I'm growing up, we're, any people like me that grew up, in the 50s, 60s, we're, the music, whether it's rock or Motown, whatever, it's the greatest music ever made on every genre. Like this is our life, right? This is, if Johnny Cash is there for country, and Tony Bennett is there, and Frank Sinatra is there, but all this rock stuff is there. And so that's, if you're listening to radio in the 60s, right? And of course, the whole 60s scene is changing the way everybody thinks. And we're a generation of that. So we're listening to pop music. And in those days, when things changed, the Beatles were pop, the Rolling Stones were pop in the beginning. So because FM wasn't even there yet. So you're listening to this on top 40, and you're watching Ed Sullivan, we're seeing the Beatles, seeing the Rolling Stones and all this stuff. So this music is inside of us, and it was not uncommon, because you're so moved by this music, for a lot of us to pick up a guitar, which even goes back to the folk music, which is huge. You got to understand, it's like a war in Vietnam. Bob Dylan is writing protest songs. I learned how to play lap steel when I was 7, but I always wanted to learn how to play guitar. And after I heard Bob Dylan, I was like, okay, I'm just doing this, right? And I just went out and bought myself a guitar and figured out how to string it up, and got a book and went like, how do I do this? So the music is inside of us, first of all. Okay, so I'm playing in bands in high school. That's all very natural. The record business is something I fell into. I did not have a plan for my life. I wasn't like, oh, I want to be this. Back in the back of all of our minds, it was like, oh, wouldn't it be great to be a rock star? But rock star wasn't even invented, right? You have to, like, when Eric Clapton starts, it's not a job yet,
No.
right? He just wants to be a guitar virtuoso. If you talk to Ronnie Wood, and he'll tell you, no, man, we just wanted to play. Like, there wasn't a job called rock star then, right? That happened, right? So anyway, so for me, I'm playing in bands. It's fantastic. I'm soaking the music in. I'm learning how to play. I wanted to learn how to play the blues. I think for most people, when the British invasion happened, that's what set the world on fire. It's like the Beatles were there for a second. When I saw the Rolling Stones, I was like, over and out. I want to be in that gang. Like like they're rebels. They're dangerous. I learned how to play guitar listening to Keith. And you got to remember, we don't have internet and that stuff. Like, where it's like you got to tone, like you're putting a tone arm on a record, going, "What's he doing? How? Okay, I'm gonna try to emulate that." You got to, you reckon you're ruining your records because you keep putting the thing back, trying to go, "What the fuck?" So I got a phone call. Well, it wasn't a phone call. Somebody came up and gave me a phone number that the guy who would become my first boss was looking. They were looking for a college rep at UCLA. They had a college representative program in colleges all across the country. I guess they had a rep before me. It didn't work out. He called his attorney. His attorney was an alumni of this AE Pi fraternity that I was in. Next thing I know, I'm sitting on the steps, at UCLA, watching all the girls go by. Some guy comes up, says, "Hey, man, they're looking for a part-time person to work for a record company. They knew about me because I had stacks of amps in my room and all that. They said, we figure that's you." So I guess it's just a phone number, right? And I call it, and I go, and I talking to this guy and everything. And, as you read in the book, it's pretty hysterical because I'm, full of myself. I'm, he's telling me that I could work for a record company. You have to understand, like in the 60s and where I came from, I'm sort of from this hippie culture, right? The whole idea of working for the man, the whole idea of working for a capitalist society, like my brain is, I don't even know if I want to do that, right? And he's having trouble trying to figure out why he's trying to talk somebody into working for a record company, right? And he's going, but you get to work with all the stars, right? And I'm like, fuck the stars, man. I don't give a shit about the stars. I'm like a music guy. I'm like a blues guitar player. I love the music, but if the celebrity thing I don't care about that.
Yeah.
So thankfully he saw through me and realized I had a decent head on my shoulders and invited me, because the thing that got me into it,
The records, the free
the
records.
free record. I said, what do I get? He goes, hey, you get $15 a week, you get a stereo, and you get all your records for free. You get a camera. I'm like, what? Stop. What did you just say? I get all my records for free? He said, yeah. I said, well, how's that work? He goes, no, you don't understand. It's the record company. You get all your records for free, and other record companies, you trade records. It's fantastic. I'm like, now all of a sudden my whole hippie, it's all dissolving. I'm like, well, it can't be that bad, right? I mean, it's a corporation, but if I get all my records for free, because you got to understand, if you're a blue collar kid, I know this is going to sound funny now, but $3 for a record is like a luxury in 1965. I didn't have a big record collection.
Yeah.
My brain is exploding. I'm like, okay, all right, I'm changing my mind. I'm your guy. I'm coming right now. He goes, no, son, don't come now. I'm busy. Come a week from now. Anyway, so long story short, I do real well as a college rep. He moves on to Warner's. I take his job as a local promotion person in Los Angeles. Now, again, I never had a plan in my life. It was like, this is really cool. I'm having a good time. I'm getting to promote music. That's fun. In the music business in the early 70s, people talk about the 80s. Forget the 80s. The 70s was like one giant party. That's all it was. It was insane. You can't, you can't make this shit up. I mean, we're living in limousines. I'm 25 years old, living in limousines, drinking champagne, like, this crazy lifestyle. And so I literally just worked really hard because I had a work ethic, like from my dad, just work hard, and I cared about the music. And then what happened, I think the biggest change, I was promoting all formats. And then what happened was FM radio was starting to rise and become very popular. Okay, so because there's all this new music that no one's ever heard before. Band called Pink Floyd, band called The Move, band called The Door, like all this stuff. It's like Jimi Hendrix. And it's the music's so big that there's a format of radio. And Columbia Records went, oh my God, we need someone that just specializes in this. Well, how about rap? Nickname, last name's Rappaport. How about rap? Because he's already tied in with all these stations in LA. They all love him because we all look the same. I just happen to work for a record company. They happen to work for radio, but we're all freaking hippie freaks that just came from the 60s. So we're all trying to do the same thing. We all want to promote this music that we love. So I said, well, great, and I did that, and I worked all the labels. The only problem was that they wanted me to work everything, Columbia, Epic. It was like a lot, but I
couldn't take it all on.
And then they went, oh my God, this is exploding now. We need regional teams. So I became the regional Columbia guy for the Western region. We had people all over the country, and I did that. And again, I didn't have any aspirations of moving to New York. Okay, it wasn't like, oh, I'm not like a ladder climber. Like I'm not built like that. I'm having a great time. I'm flying around. I'm doing this, I'm meeting my rock and roll heroes. I'm like in heaven, not people like Bruce and Billy Joel. We started at the same time. So I'm not in any less awe of them, of their talent, but it's not the same, when you're working with somebody and nobody knows them and you help them become something. Right.
Yeah.
One of my funniest stories is after Bruce was becoming a superstar, I said, hey, I've been bringing people back here for your autograph for years. I go, like, do you think I should have one, Bruce? I mean, like, we were laughing our asses off because we both started from nothing and we were laughing, and he finally, but he's a wonderful person, and he went and, really thought about it. And he wrote me that in the book. You see the autograph. It's saying, hey, Rap, thanks for doing it so right for so long, which was like, oh man, so. But I didn't have any aspirations of becoming that. It just sort of built on its own. And what happened was there was a fellow who was my boss. He left. They put another person in. He couldn't handle the pressure, and he had to leave. And the top 40 guys who were running it at the time said, man, you got to come here and run the album department for a little while. We know you're a West Coast guy. We know you're a surfer. We know you don't want to come to New York. But you got to run it because we're top 40 guys. We don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So I went to New York and I started to run the album department. Now I'm pretty green. I don't even know how the charts worked. I mean, I'm in a meeting with the
Yeah.
president of the label, and he's asking me why a record's coming down the charts. Okay, now this is embarrassing. Okay,
Yeah.
and I tell him, Al, records go up the charts and then they come down. But I didn't know you could manipulate the charts, right?
Oh, you found out how they work.
Oh yeah, right. No, no.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, I can control this shit. Okay, so it happened by accident. So I start running it, right? And I'm having a good time because we have money. When
Yeah.
you have money, you have a big imagination, and I have a really big imagination. You're talking to a guy that shot a fucking laser beam off a mountainside. They
Oh
went
yeah.
30 miles. So
That's
I'm thinking about all these kind of things, right? And I'm running it, and I'm like, oh, I'm having so much fun. And I'm telling you, Steve, it happened by accident like that. Like I wasn't looking for it. It found me, right? And I had to convince them to give me the job because they knew I'm a West Coast guy. And I
yeah.
went to talk, and I went to talk to, the head of promotion, and he said, "Look, Rap, this is New York, man. This is heavy. Like this, the politics is like it's like the NFL. Like they're gonna chew you up and spit you out, right?" And I'm
Right.
like, "No, Ed, I'm tougher than you think." I said, "But I'm killing it. You got to give me." I begged him. I said, "Just give me a shot. Like I'm having so much fun because I could do big things." And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, I'm helping. Okay, these artists for me. See, like you're younger, but you got to understand, like Bob Dylan, he
Oh.
changed my life. Like you listen to Bob Dylan, you're a kid, and this guy's, "Hey man, the world's a square, and you don't need to be that. You can be this." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"What?" Right? Because these people, of this era, the music have messages. They're messages to us from the Beatles. Like the people are talking about real things,
Yeah.
not, like crack me up, and I understand today is a different world, but you got to understand the record of the year this year at the Grammys is Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar. Yeah.
Right. He's got 3 Grammys for it, right? Now, I hadn't heard it. Fair enough. I go to
Yeah.
listen to it. Must be something great. I'm listening to it. It's a fucking diss song against
Yeah.
Drake.
It's
Well,
so funny because I wanted to ask you about
I'm like,
Kendrick
why do I
Lamar.
care? What are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
It's like the whole world's on fire.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got fucking climate change. You could write about anything. You're writing because you're mad at Drake. I don't give a
Yeah.
shit about Drake. Right? And you got record of the year for that? Like, oh my fucking God.
Is he going to play it at the Super Bowl? Is he?
Yeah, I know.
And then Drake's suing the record label. Not even Kendrick Lamar is suing the record label, which is why I'm going to ask you. I didn't know if you had an opinion. Sounds like you have some opinions.
I don't have an axe to grind against Kendrick Lamar. I just think if you're an artist, there's so much you could write about that matters. I came from that era. You're talking about, For Dead in Ohio by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And you're talking about people that wrote about the times that had significant ideas that they wanted to get across. We were a bunch of kids that were ready to change the world. We're soaking it in. So people like Bob Dylan, okay, he's deep in here. Okay, Rolling Stones, since I'm 17 years old, they live in here, right? Pink Floyd. So now all of a sudden I'm working with these artists and I'm like, wait, I get to help them. Like I can pay it forward. Like I get to give back. I started working with Bob Dylan. He was on this religious kick. I mean, it was, this new, rumor was he was becoming a Christian, whatever it was. And I didn't really care. I mean, Bob can do whatever he wants, but there was trouble, and I had to help maneuver him through that.
Yeah.
What a wonderful, I felt like, oh man, this is great, and he and I formed a wonderful relationship. And, look, I'm a kid in 1966 that goes to see the Rolling Stones at the Hollywood Bowl. And just like every other 17-year-old, I'm freaking out. And Mick Jagger is like jumping up with a tambourine, and I'm like in heaven. I'm with this girl who wound up being my wife later on. Okay, you fast forward 20 years. And I'm sitting on a couch next to Mick Jagger, and I'm telling his marketing plan, okay? And the two most amazing things are, I know what I'm talking about, and he's fucking listening to me. And I'm shaking my head going, okay, Mick, I got to tell you this story because I can't, you got to understand what you mean to me. And he doesn't know because they're like in a bubble. They don't know, right? So he meets me and he's moved. Like, no, you don't, because a lot of record business people were you know, they're business people. You know, they didn't come from like where I came from.
Right.
So when artists would meet me, I was different. So Jagger's looking at me like, wait a minute, you're not just counting numbers. I'm going, no, you have to understand something. Like, you don't understand. You're in here. This music, your music, you have to understand what it meant to me and all my friends. It's bigger than you think. You know, it's not just like the Rolling Stones making a lot of money. You got to understand this power, right? So it happened by accident, right? So then I become the man. And because I have a work ethic and I'm competitive and I have, you know, a bit of an ego, hopefully not out of control, I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the greatest rock promotion man ever. That's what I set out to be. I mean,
Yeah.
that I planned.
Yeah.
That I
Yeah.
said, I'm doing this. I'm going to do this for all these bands, but I'm also going to do things because I had a mentor, Steve Popovich, wonderful guy, who said, look, Rap, you got to promote these bands for 95%, but you got to save 5% for yourself because you have to promote yourself because it's a fickle business. And if you get let go by the record company or whatever, people need to know you have to have a reputation. And I took that to heart. But I
Yeah.
also, honestly, Steve, I just I just wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the GOAT. I
And
just
so you
needed,
do these things, right?
I don't know why I needed it. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I just did. And so I set out to do the stuff that I did that you read about.
Oh
That
yeah,
is
she's the
never,
boss with Mick Jagger. Like you weren't satisfied, until everybody was on board, right? Where you stacking all the stations to get Mick Jagger to number one, calling him, you did.
yeah, no, yes, my plan was it never happened before because the way records come out, they hit radio, maybe 80% of them play it the first week, 20, then another 20 come in the next week. And then, because they all have playlists and they all have different reasons of why they're adding records or whatever. But I wanted to do this for Mick again, because it's like you got to understand, like it's deep.
Like he gave
So,
his music to
so
you.
I so I so I told my guys, okay, look, this has never happened before. We're going to get every radio station to play Mick's record the day of release. It's never happened before, not even close. And to do it, it's almost impossible because people, even if they add it, they forget to
Put
report it to
it.
the trade magazine. Some guy has a bug up his ass because a manager did something, he doesn't want to play it. Some people don't have room on their playlist. But I made this um, a priority. And I said,
Yeah.
look, we can do this, but it's going to take every one of our guys. We had the best promo team ever assembled. Columbia Records was like, we had a nickname. They called us the Big Red Machine. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
it was, right? And I called all the local guys. I called all the independents. We were calling radio going, look, we want to do this for Mick. And then people are like, yeah, sure. It's Mick, of course. Well, it's a business of favors. So it's like, yeah, of course. I had to call a guy in Nova Scotia. I mean, why do we have a station in Nova Scotia? I don't know. I never called the guy before. I'm like, look, I've never talked to you before, but I really want to do this for Mick. Could you please do this for Mick Jagger? And the guy says, hey, love to do it, but we're in Nova Scotia. We don't get our records until the next day. So I won't have it. So then I say, well, but could you add it to the playlist today and just play it tomorrow? Right. And he goes, well, theoretically, I could do that. And I said, well, I was a philosophy major. I love theoretical. I said, look, not for me. Come on, how much joy do you have listening to Rolling Stones and Mick Jagger? Do it for Mick. Just add the record today and play it tomorrow. So he said, fine. So sure as shit, the next day, not, because you got to get every station. If you don't get every station, 99%. And 99% doesn't get it. It's got to be
It's not a headline. Yeah.
Got to be every single rock station playing this record on the same day. So sure as shit, next day, boom, 100% Mick Jagger. People are going out of their fucking minds. Record company presidents calling me, how'd you do this? Blah, blah, blah. Then, best part, I get a call from Mick from Paris. Right now, that tells you about the man. He doesn't have to do that. Right. Yeah. So I get a call from Mick. I'm like, jazzed out of my mind. I mean, I'm a professional record guy, but come on, I'm a fan. How would I be doing this if I wasn't even a fan, right? Now I'm going to talk to this guy, right? So he calls me on the phone. It's like, oh, hello. Sounds just like Mick Jagger, of course. So I had a wonderful conversation with him. And he said, you want to know something? He said, I think Mick knows the business. I mean, Mick Jagger, economic major. I mean, he knows the music business.
Yeah.
I didn't know he knew this much. I didn't know that he knew all the intricacies. He says, look, I know what you did, but he goes, I don't know how you did it because that's impossible. Obviously, it's not impossible because you did
Mm.
it,
Your
but
magic trick.
virtually an
Yeah.
impossible thing to do. The fact that you did that, he said, it's my first solo record. I cannot tell you how much that means to me that you went out of your way to do that. And I went, what a class act.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, Mick, you got to understand, since I'm 17 years old, it's like I'm flying the fucking tongue and logo, lips logo. And this is just the beginning of what you will see from me. And when it came time to do Steel Wheels, I was able to, because I knew how to, finesse things, I was able to debut every one of their 3 rock singles. I debuted them at #1, kept them at #1, and I replaced one with another so that the Rolling Stones were #1 for 3.5 months on the
Yeah.
chart,
Yeah.
right? And I did that because the fucking Rolling Stones, right? And they were like, I'll
Yeah.
set the record straight. And like, hey, man, you forgot about us, but we haven't toured in a while. But just so you want to know who the greatest rock and roll band in the world is, we're doing it. And I'm like, fuck yeah. So I go to manipulate the charts to do this, right? Now, you got to understand the heat from other records
You made some enemies. You made
is
some enemies.
the industry wants me fired because the truth is,
Yeah.
I abused this privilege because the truth is, I locked out #1 slot for 3.5 months, so nobody else could get to this coveted spot, and everybody wants to be #1. And
Oh
people
yeah.
would stop at 2, but they couldn't get to 1 because the airplane was so heavy. And I figured out a way to do it so that I would wait so long to replace the single. They were so burnt out on a single. Then I'd let the other one go. And they went, okay, take this one out of heavy rotation, put this in heavy rotation, debut at #1, right? But I
Yeah.
did. And oh my God, record company presidents were calling my president. They wanted me gone. And all I could tell people was, hey, man, you know what? It's the Rolling Stones. If it wasn't the Rolling Stones, I wouldn't be an asshole. I said, but it's the
Yeah.
Rolling
Yeah.
Stones.
Yeah.
And you're gonna, and uh, those, so I did those kind of things,
Well,
and it
so let's
mattered.
talk about. Yeah, so I mean, I love that kind of manipulation a little bit. Bob Dylan and Grateful Dead. You got creative there a little bit, and so tell me kind of about that because you knew what other people didn't really, and you kind of held out on that,
Yes,
really
a lot of
hyped it
people
up.
until you read this book, you don't know a lot of stuff, right? Because obviously you've
Yeah,
read it,
yes,
which still blows my mind that you read my book. Thank you very much.
of course. No, thank
I
you.
just got these. They sent them from England. I have the real thing.
Oh, you got a hard copy.
I
Yeah,
got yeah, like I got like they did. I got to tell you, I want to give a shout out to Jawbone Books. Whoever is out there listening to this, you need to go to the Jawbone website and then if you buy the book in the back, it's all listed here. But these guys have some of the greatest titles. This is a great publishing company. I found them. I told the guy Tom Seberg, I said, man, if you take me on, I'm going to feel like I'm home. Like
yeah.
I can't believe that you want this book. Look at this, like this color photos,
Look at
24
that.
pages. They just did a bang up job. So I decided to read it last night, just like a reader, like because every time I read it, it's like, oh, spell check. Did I phrase this right? Did I say this right? Now I just want to read it like a normal person, like
Yeah.
third party. Like, who is this fucking guy Rappaport? Like, you know.
And it's called Gliders Over Hollywood, Airships, Airplanes, and the Art of Rock Promotion. We should say the name of the book, I guess, as well.
Pardon?
So I
Yes, we
was
should
saying,
say, yeah. Gliders over Hollywood. If you read the book, you'll read about what that's about. But the Bob Dylan thing,
yeah,
okay, so I'm pretty much an organic promotion person. Like I want to introduce you to music in a way that I can help form your opinion before you have one of your own, little trade secret.
yeah,
Because I want you to like the music and I want you to be open-minded to the music. But every once in a while, something comes along and you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? And the Bob Dylan thing, I was so excited because I love the Grateful Dead. I'm a Deadhead. I love Bob Dylan. I cannot wait for this album. I'm thinking, oh my God, Bob's going to sing these songs and Jerry Garcia is going to play these riffs behind him. It's just going to be like amazing, right? So I get this record. It doesn't sound so great. And I'm like, maybe it's me. I'll come out, listen to it again tomorrow. I come back, listen, I go, this isn't really good. In fact, this is like really bad. Like, how would they release this? How would Bob let this out? How would the Dead let this out? This is not even okay. Okay, this is not even passable. This is like a bad record, right? And I don't understand how they can do this. And now I have to promote it. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay, now usually what you do is you go to radio programmers in front and you play them a cassette. You bring an album 2 weeks in front, you go listen to the music. So later when we talk about what you're going to play, you'll be immersed in the music, whatever. So, but this time I had to pull a magic trick. So, what you also read about in the book, I was lucky to take lessons with one of the world's greatest magicians, and I became one, myself. So I'm thinking, how am I going to do this? So he had taught me. He said, look, if you take a coin like this and you put it in your hand like this, right? Says you got to believe the coin is in there. And maybe the coin's somewhere else where you might, Steve, not know where it goes, but but he said, no, you gotta do this, and you gotta, if you believe the coin is in there, they'll believe it, right? And then when you do that, they'll freak out. So this is a little, if you believe it, they'll believe it kind of a thing. So I decided to play a trick. And what I did was I told all our guys, when you get the records, do not bring them to the radio. Keep them in your office. And do not bring this record to radio until the day of release, and do not bring it until the afternoon, late afternoon, 3 or 4 o'clock. And when you bring it in, I want you to rush in like you're out of breath and say, it's hot off the presses. Okay. I talk to a lot of programmers myself. Like we have local guys who talk to programmers. I have my key 20 people that I talk to across the country. Now, I've been telling them for a long time, I can't wait to hear this record, which is true because I couldn't. Then I heard it. Then I had to tell a white lie because now they're calling me going, what about Dylan the Dead? And I go, oh, it's they're still mixing it. It's like it's going to be a rush release, but I can't wait to hear it. It's got to be great, right? And people are going, yeah, rap, it's going to be amazing. So I hype it up. We had a wonderful picture of Bob Dylan and the Grateful Dead. Usually you can't get a picture where everybody looks great. They looked amazing. I put it in the trades, coming Dylan the Dead, Dylan Dead, big 4-color Dylan the Dead coming. People are like freaking out. Okay, day of release, magic trick takes place. Guys rush it in. Every single rock radio station across the same thing happened. Program director. Oh, finally, the fucking Dylan and the Dead. Oh, shit. We don't have time to listen to it. Music director. Pick your 3 favorite Dead, your Bob Dylan songs, put them in heavy rotation, and we'll listen to it as it's being playing on the air. What's being played on the air, and as it's being played on the air, the program directors are realizing, hey, this doesn't sound so good, but it's been in heavy rotation for 2 or 3 weeks. Meanwhile, the public who's waiting for Dylan and the Dead are hearing the DJ go, hey, it's the new Dylan and the Dead. Oh, fuck, run out, buy the record. Okay. By the time radio figures out that this record is not really good, the magic trick has taken place. They've got it in heavy rotation for 3 weeks. The fucking record went gold in 3.5 weeks, just like that. Boom, done, right? And then I'm on the phone with them and they're saying, man, this record just doesn't sound so good. And then finally I could tell the truth. And I said, you're right. I don't know what happened. And I won't make you play it. Like, I'm not going to lean on you. Like some records, I'll lean on people and go, come on, you got to give me some more weeks. But I said, like, I'm not going to lean on you to, I said, just back it down. I'm disappointed. You're like, you are. And so, they backed it down. But wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Gold record. Bob's happy. Grateful Dead's happy. Call Me Records is happy. I'm thrilled. And I think, wait a second. I was just looking at stuff today. Like on rapping, I have like a lot of years of this stuff, right? Wait a second. You work at a record company long enough, you get all these toys. Okay. But today I'm most of my stuff's in the attic and it's strewn around my office. Okay. Today, this is what I found.
Is that Dylan in that Den?
Dylan in the Den. It's my gold record that I earned the hard way.
You did. You earned that. You did.
Yeah. So every once in a while you had to do stuff like that. But like I said, look, I have a big imagination, and I was able to come up with that, and and it worked.
Did they tour, by the way, Dylan and
yes,
tour
that's how it got made. They were on tour. Steve, they recorded more than one night. You're telling me you recorded more than one night, and this is the record you put out? And if you go on the internet, it reads, this record was trashed by the press, and somehow it sold really well. And then so if you read this book, you'll read the somehow.
We know the somehow now.
You know the somehow of how it happened. So
yeah. Tell me about the impact of the advice you got from Tony Bennett, because he was a bit of a mentor to you, right? And kind of that helped you push forward in a lot of ways.
That was he changed my life, frankly, because I was doing well as a college rep. But, a lot of people, when I started, a lot of these guys, and women, they're like from the 50s, right? And it's kind of like the Hey Babe era, and it's a lot of surface kind of stuff. They're in the business because they love the business, the perks, the lifestyle. The music matters to them, but not the same way the music mattered to my generation, right?
Yeah.
And so along the way, I would meet these people that were kind of fake and duplicitous, and I went, geez, I don't know, like if I'm going to fit in this business, because I'm not that. I'm coming from another place. My generation is hopefully more genuine, whatever. And I went to a party, and was for Tony, and he had put out this album. I think it was called Love Story. I'll have to look at my own book. And there were a lot of heavy. There were people at this party that went on to become giants in the music industry. Russ Thyrett, who ran Warner Brothers, was a kid. We're all kids.
Yeah.
This is a redheaded kid dancing with some girl at a party. The guy who started Tower Records is there. There wasn't even a Tower Records yet, right? It was like the guy who started it was telling us about this supermarket that he was going to do Tower Records. So, but it's a party. There's a lot of hangers on, and there were a lot of people that were just there for the party. Like, it's the record business. It's a party. It's a big thing. Right. So after they left, I was really troubled, because I honestly thought I might quit the business. Like, the music I'm into, the business, I don't know if I'm going to fit in the business. So I sit down and I talk to Tony. I said, look, Mr. Bennett, I'm really new, at this. I love music. I play guitar. I said, same thing, like, I'm talking to him without a filter, right? I said, look, man, I said, this party, man, this party was like bullshit. Like, half the people here probably haven't even heard your record. They're just here. They're here for the party, and they're drinking your booze and they're eating your food. And it's like, I don't like it. Like, I don't like that. And I don't, and a lot of people I'm meeting in the business are kind of surface, and they're fake, and they're, hey babe, and it's kind of slippery slidey. And I was like, Tony, man, I don't think, I can't be that. It's not me. And maybe I don't belong here, And he, first of all, Tony Bennett turned out to be one of the fucking coolest people on the planet. A guy who had a tremendous work ethic, an amazing human being. And he said, look, Paul, he said, you're a great kid. He goes, you love music. That's the most important thing. He said, but I want to tell you a story. Okay, now this is a wise, I'm thinking he's Tony Bennett. He was in his pipe and ascot phase, right? And I thought he's going to talk in some big vocabulary, like, and he looks at me and he goes, honestly, sometimes it can be pretty fucked up, okay? So I'm like, oh my God, this guy's so cool. So he said, look, he says, I had a huge career. I left my heart in San Francisco. It made me a world citizen. And then pop music changed, and I was out of favor, and I didn't know what to do. So I went to talk to a friend of mine, Duke Ellington, famous composer, right? He said, Duke, man, I don't know what to do. And he said, and Duke told me, he said, Tony, um, you're like an apple, like you're the most beautiful Tony Bennett apple we have. Don't change yourself into an orange because it's not going to work for you. And you can't do it. It's not right. He goes, yes, things aren't the way they should be now, but if you just remain who you are, just be you, you will see. Like it's a fickle business, you know, it's, fans are fickle. You will see the world will come back to you. Like it will come back to you because you are Tony Bennett. You're like this great Tony Bennett, right? You're the best Tony Bennett apple we have. Don't become an orange. And he said, I took Duke's, uh, you know, wisdom, to heart. He goes, I'm going to tell you the same thing. It's like, Paul, you seem like a good guy. You love music. You don't have to be a certain way. You could be you. Just be you. Just be genuine. He goes, but because there's a lot of parts of this business that are great and are fun. And it's not all fucked up all the time, but that's part of it. But it's not all that. And he said, and he says, I think you'll do great. And that sort of lifted like a big load off my shoulders because I was really, you know, even you have to understand back then, the connotation for a promo man was even a bad, the Rolling Stones had a song, West Coast Assistant, Under Assistant West Coast Promo Man. I'm sitting in a whatever kind of suit it is, thinking about how sharp I am. I'm the West Coast, Under Assistant West Coast Promo Man. And I didn't like that. I wasn't that. Like I knew that I loved talking about music, but I didn't want to be that slick promo guy, it just was the whole thing. And I had to find my own way, right? And make my own way. But Tony Bennett was the guy that said, look, go make your own way. Go be you. You'll do it different. You don't have to be that thing. And that night changed my life because I could have bolted. I was still into the music. I could have left, but I went, oh my God. And he and I became friends. I learned a lot from him. You want to talk about work ethic?
Yeah.
I could have took a bunch of snot-nosed rock and roll bands I worked with on the road with me and Tony Bennett. You watch this guy. Okay, this is how it's done, right? No attitude, big time work ethic, and you'll get somewhere, and you'll stay there. You'll stay there. Like, I don't want to hear about all these, stupid shit, rock star bullshit. Like, do what Tony Bennett does,
Yeah.
and look what happened to him. I mean, his whole career, just like Duke Ellington's dead. Took a while, comes back, ba 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 ba, Tony Bennett, bum 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 bum, does MTV Awards, Red Hot Chili Peppers, ba ba ba, whole new bunch of people love Tony Bennett. Fast forward, Lady Gaga, I mean, out of control. He we had a whole television series was because of Tony Bennett. There was a television series, A&E Live by Request, 2-hour live prime television series where you call in, talk to the artist, they play your favorite song for you over the television. It's very warm and fuzzy show, right?
Yeah.
It all started with Tony.
Yeah.
Because we were doing a radio show and Tony said, hey, Rap, can we take requests? And I went, well, let me talk to this engineer friend of mine, Mitch Makatansky. I said, Mitch, how do we do this? He goes, well, I got to get a special box. We take phone calls, got to go in the box, then into the board. And he said, well, we can do it. We did a radio show, a Valentine's Day special. We're taking requests. Tony, because he's just this really cool guy, he's like the everyman. He's talking to everybody. He's talking about a guy in Cleveland. Hey, is Joe still the guy that owns that Italian restaurant? Is he still? Forget the singing, right? The performances, this conversations with people across the country. It's like this big warm smile. And after that, his son, who manages him, Danny Bennett, walks out of the studio, looks at me, and he goes, Rap, what? He goes, this is a television show. I go, it is? He goes, yeah, don't you see it? I go, yeah. So I go back to Sony, and we had an Automatic Productions television team. So I pitch it to them. They like it. We go pitch it to A&E. They fall in love with it. Tony does the first show, wins a fucking Emmy. I mean, 40 shows later, I mean, we did everybody. We did David Bowie, Neil Diamond, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Eurythmics, Elton John. That's all because of Tony Bennett. Because Tony Bennett had the idea, I want to talk to the fans. Can I take, that's all Tony Bennett.
Yeah.
Right? In fact, I had a big, not a fight, but a discussion with Danny because when the credits rolled, right? I'm new to the television business. I had to learn how to make television. I'm a record guy. I learned a lot. I learned how to make television. I learned how to make television shows. So the credits are rolling at the end, and Danny comes in, and after he sees the show, he says, "Look, Rap, he says, he said, do you mind? You're an executive producer, and but you're also a co-creator. But Tony feels like he's like really the creator. Do you mind if it says created by Tony Bennett and developed by you?" And I go, "Fuck, I don't care. Just whatever you want." And Danny
Just
goes,
having to get to do it. Yeah.
"No, Tony's got ego." He says, "I need that for Tony." I said, "Fine." So like, fine, created by Tony Bennett, developed by Paul Rappaport and whoever else. And I'm an executive producer. I'm fine. My mother used to watch the show, and the credits used to run at the end.
Yeah.
My mom made these poor people who sat with her in front of the TV watch the entire credit roll, so at the end she could see her son's name as executive producer. So then TV changed, and all of a sudden producers were in the front. So then all of a sudden our credits are in the front. So it's like, "Hey, Ma, you don't got to keep your people there anymore." It's like, just turn on the TV, right?
Well, watch it for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, I say, yes. "Paul, why aren't you on TV?" "Mom, I'm the behind the scenes guy. I'm not I'm not but you should be on TV." "No, Mom, I'm not supposed to be on TV. I made this show. I have to executive produce. I have to find the money. I have to do the sets." I said, "No, she couldn't understand why I'm not on TV." I was like, "Mom, I'm not on TV. I'm not a TV guy. Like, this is not me."
Yeah. Just going to show you on TV. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, one more story from the book, and then kind of talk about the next
Okay.
chapter, so to speak, after the book, because that's interesting to me too. But I want to hear your perspective of going on the stage with Pink Floyd playing "Run Like Hell." You know, I mean, because you talk about what an influence, how they were so pivotal to your music tastes growing up as a kid, and then flash forward, and they gave you this amazing gift of the opportunity to play with them, on stage at the show of your choice, and you plan that out, for a couple months, prepared, and tell me,
Best present
yeah,
I ever got in my life. But it's a
yeah,
thank you present. It was like, just, thank you present for all the years, all the things I'd done with them. I'd become friends with them over the years. I started working with them on the Wish You Were Here album and every album past that. And we'd actually become friends, when I would go to England, and Nick has this huge car collection, and he would go, "Rap, go to the garage, go sit in the cars, take pictures." Gilmore was a pilot. "Hey, you want to go flying?" "Sure." So I knew them. And I think that's one of the reasons that it happened, because we actually bonded, and if you're a guitar guy, which I am, it was it was nice for me. It was a common ground for a lot of these people, because back then these guys wanted to be players first and celebrities second. They wanted to learn how to be good guitar players. So if you sit down with Keith Richards, the whole celebrity thing is gone. You want to talk guitar? "Oh man, you got to do this." I would go to Gilmore's house, and he would say, "Look, this is the very first Fender Stratocaster they ever made. They gave it to me as a gift. Look at this. What do you think of this?" They're guitar guys, right? So,
yeah,
so Gilmore knew that, and I guess he had talked to the manager. Well, actually, my assistant. I was talking to her one day, Kathy, and I said, "Look, wouldn't it be great one day? Like, I'd love to plug in like with a Stone, stand next to Keith. I just want to hear what my guitar sounds like in a big sound system." She told O'Rourke, who was the manager, Steve O'Rourke, with the band, and then O'Rourke told Gilmore, and Gilmore thought it was a brilliant idea, and Nick thought it was lovely. And I get a call from them saying, "Hey, we have a Christmas present for you." And I thought it was a nice gesture. I didn't think it was real. They said, "Blah blah blah, come and play a song with us." I'm like, "Great, like a rehearsal, right?" They go, "No, no, proper gig, live on stage." And I'm saying, "Great, okay, sure." 3 months later, they call. They go, "Are you coming?" I'm like, "Are you serious?" They're like, "Yeah." I go, "Well, but I'm a player. I don't want to go compose." They're like, "No." He goes, "Gilmore knows you're a player. That's why you're getting the invitation." So I said, "Great." So I, uh, I spoke to Dave, and I said, "Okay, look, I don't want to be a bother to you. You tell me what's the best song for me to come up and play." And he said, "Well, honestly, come up and play the encore, because then I don't have to get you on, get you off. You stay there for the whole time." And And he says you can learn it off one of the live records because we play it the same way every night. For those people who don't know how Pink Floyd works, the beauty of it is the psychedelicness of it is that all of their music is timed to effects. So you're watching movies, you're watching pyrotechnics, you're watching flying saucers on the stage. It's all timed to the music. That's how you have the psychedelic experience. Plus, there's quadraphonic sound. And, you know, when you hear dogs, like when they play dog, you hear dogs. You're like, where the fuck are these dogs coming from? So it's all timed. So it's like when you play with Pink Floyd, it's like playing in an orchestra. You have to play in time with the rest of the orchestra while all this stuff is happening. So I got a hold of a Pink Floyd cover band guitarist because I knew there was some chords in there that I didn't know. They're very subtle chords like A suspended second. And I can't just C ninth or whatever it is. And I learned how to play Run Like Hell. And I practiced that song for 3 months, one song, right? Because I knew that when I got on stage, it was going to be pretty wild, right? So, so I was thrilled. I mean, I just thought, you know, I'm working in the music business. You don't get a thank you all the time, Steve. It's just, you want to know something? Here's something.
Yeah.
Not the young punks who are selling millions of records, the guys that have been there for a long time. It's the Mick Jagger who calls you up. It's the Keith Richards who gives you a hug because they know what you did, because they know how hard it is to stay there, right? It's the Pink Floyds that say thank you, right? Because they took so long to get there, right? So I just thought, who does that? Who calls you and says, you know what? You did so much for us. Come and play in our band. Who does that?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, yeah, like what kind of heart? Like, this is like Gilmore and Nick Mason. These guys, right? Two of the biggest hearts I've ever met in this business. Who does that?
You felt like a Make-A-Wish kid, kind of, right? Like.
Anyway, so it was a very surreal evening because the first half of the show, my wife and I we're watching the show, right? And I'd seen the show before in the States, so I knew what it was. And then, of course, the second half of the show, I was going to be in the show. So that's a very strange feeling to begin with. So I'm backstage and I'm see the guys. And, you know, what was very nice was I was a band member from the go. Okay. They told me to go to a hotel, meet David. I went in a van with David and his family. I was a band member. David held the doors for all these kids are outside. He calls the promoter. He goes, got to hold the doors for rap. I need to give him a sound check so he knows what it's going to sound like. Okay, again, he could have just thrown me on stage. That's not how Gilmore is. This guy's got a huge heart, right? It's like, rap, come here. Plug in. Okay, plug into my rig. You're going to sound like me, right? Plug into David Gilmour's rig, right? It's fucking how tall it is. I sound like David Gilmour. Okay, it's like, holy fuck. Best sound I ever had in my life. And I'm playing a Telecaster, which I brought because he plays a Telecaster. He actually said, here, try one of mine first. But are you a player at all?
No, I wish. I never was able to pick it up. And
never too late. Anyway,
okay.
So he has high action. His strings, he plays heavier duty strings and they're very high off the fret. He's got like, his hands are like big mitts. And I'm like, Dave, Jesus, how do you play this fucking thing? I was like, let me use mine. He laughed at me because you wuss. I go, you know, it's fine. Anyway, he gives me a sound check. Okay, so I hear like this echo, and I hit the string, and it takes a second for it to come back. He goes, don't worry, that's how it is now. But when we're on stage, we're all in an echo loop together, so it'll sound correct. But what a lovely thing! It's like at least I know where I'm going to stand, what I'm supposed to do. So at least I'm not going to get up there and go, well, where do I go, right? So it's all planned out. I tell him, hey, look, I learned the song. You just want me to play soft chords behind you, right? Like A suspended. He goes, no. He says, that's for the record. He goes, I just hit power chords. He goes, he's a rap. He goes, I want you to have fun. I said, so you mean I could play some lead solos? He goes, yeah. He says, but you got to sound like Pink Floyd. I go, well, Dave, I've been working for 3 months to sound like Pink Floyd. I mean, I got it, you know? And Nick, who's a wonderful person, Nick Mason's a wonderful guy, gave me a beautiful quote. I mean, I don't know if you saw the quote from Nick Mason in this book. He sent me this quote. I fell out of my chair. I was like, oh my God, what a wonderful thing to say, you know? So Nick's looking at me, hey, Rap, we don't even know the song that well anyway. We just gotta have fun, right? And I'm thinking, yeah, right, Nick, you've only played it 200 times in a row, right? Anyway.
Yeah.
So here's my experience. I'm waiting backstage at the end of the show, right? I've gone to the bathroom like 100 times every 3 minutes because I'm freaking out. So they go, okay, it's time for the encore. I get escorted back. They have this tradition that it's Pink Floyd. You have to, they're like these guys live on another planet, right? A fucking waiter shows up in a tux with a silver tray of port wine, right? Because David said, an opera singer had told him that if you gargle with port wine, it's good for your throat. So, and David likes wine, so he's going to gargle and drink it. So, so would you like a glass of port before you play, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, give me the thing. I'm not sipping on it. Give me another one. They didn't. That was it. I had one glass, right? So the funniest thing is, so now David starts it. He goes up the steps. David puts on his guitar. And if you've ever seen Pink Floyd, or anyone who ever has, when they do Run Like Hell as an encore, David starts out just hitting, everything's dark, and David starts hitting some sounds like guitar. All right, and then the lasers start going around. Okay. So I get up, and Phil Taylor, who had my guitar in the guitar rack where it should be, I'm with Phil, and who's an old friend, and Phil goes, "Rap, how you doing?" I'm like, well, semi scared to death, but I'm looking forward to. He goes, here. So he like, like you're a rock star. He drapes me, puts my telly on. Rap, would you like a cloth? Would you like some water? Would you like a pick? I'm like, I could get used to this, right? All you have to do is play. I'm like, no, Phil, I'm fine. And then he looks at me and he goes, fuck, he goes, Doc. And he takes my head and ducks me down on our haunches, and a fucking hot green laser beam this thick shoots over our heads. And he looks at me and he goes, you got to be careful. You could get killed up here. I'm like, holy fuck. The lighting guy who I knew for years, Mark Brickman,
Yeah.
when I was outside trying to chill out, was teasing me. I thought he was teasing me. He said, yeah, there's flying saucers that we have in this. He goes, well, when you play your lead solo, I'm going to have one come down and try to knock you off the stand. And Brickman's like a New York, he thinks that's funny. I'm like, Brickman, why are you fucking scared to death? Now I got to worry about you with a fucking flying saucer. He's laughing. So now, anyway, so now it's laser beams, blah, blah, blah. So he goes, okay, now as soon as I tell you, walk across the stage and go to the riser where you were at sound check. But you got to go when I tell you, because a giant robot comes out of the stage right where you're going to walk, right? And you don't want to be on top of it. And I'm going, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, okay. He goes, get ready. Okay, go now. I scooted across the stage. He hooks me up, I'm plugged in. And so I got to make sure my guitar is on. So I turn my volume up a little. I hear just the muffle in the monitor system, just so I know my guitar works. It's like, it's Pink Floyd. Everything works. Like, what am I thinking?
Yeah.
So I know the song really well, but I want to play good. Not so much for the kids. There's 15,000 kids in the audience. They're not going to know if I hit a clam. We're all in this echo loop. But I need to play well for the band, because I know David for years, and I know Nick and the keyboard player John Caron. I've known this guy for years. At the end, I wanted to hold my own. At the end, I want him to go, hey, nice to have you as a guest. I don't want to look like.
Yeah.
Tim Rennick was there, who was second guitar player to David, a wonderful guitar player. And okay, so I'm ready to go. It's all dark. A very amazing experience when you're on stage and everything starts. There's 15,000 people in front of you, but you can't see them. You hear them, but you can't see them. You just see a few little kids in the front, right? So the air feels like really thick, right? So the way the song starts, the drums go, but it gets louder, louder. All of a sudden, the volume gets shoved up. Everything's loud instantly, and the stage lights are white hot. Like I'm going from dark to, and it's like, it's like you got to, I'm sure Dave knows to close his eye. The guys,
right, yeah,
close their eyes, right? But because they know what's going to happen. So I'm like, oh my God. Excuse me. So stage lights hit. And the beginning of Run Like Hell is a crescendo. It's like da 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 da. There's three guitars doing it. It's me, Tim, and Dave. And it sounds beautiful. Now, and this is one of the reasons I wrote it, is you know, I want people to have fun reading this book. I want them to have the fun that I had. It's like, you want to know how it feels to play with Pink Floyd? I want you to know it. Like, I want
Oh
to,
yeah.
I want you to know it, you know, just because it was fun and you should have fun. And, you know, so, you know, I'm playing and if you play with Pink Floyd, everything is top notch. The monitors, right? It's you sound like you're in your living room. You hear everything. I hear the backup singers. I hear Dave. I hear me. I can hear everything clear. It's loud, but not too loud, right?
Yeah.
But loud enough. So we're doing this. I'm soaking it all in, right? I'm like, you know, I thought that I would see all the, all the production, but I didn't realize that all happens behind us and around.
Right.
So I'm the big screen, the big famous screen. I'm in front of it. When the pyro goes on, I don't see it. It's all behind me, right? And so let me take a swig of this. Excuse
Yeah,
me.
go for it.
Do you edit this at all, or?
We let it run all the way through pretty
Okay,
much. So,
whatever.
yeah, you're good.
Okay, well, I hope people aren't bored.
I'm not.
Okay, so, so I'm just taking it all in because I'm thinking, man, I'm in sync with the music. When a band's in sync,
Yeah.
there's no better feeling. It's just euphoric. Okay, so there's a breakdown in Run Like Hell, excuse me, where there's a couple of guitar solos. Sure enough, the breakdown comes, and I'm just playing chords, and Gilmour turns around to me. Well, first of all, before that happens, he's having a blast. This is
Yeah.
the 200th show. He's probably bored to tears, but he's having fun because he knows the fun I'm having. So he's
Yeah.
running up to me while I'm playing, right? And he's yelling in my ear, "Drill him, rapper! Drill him! Let him have it!" I'm like, "Dave, shut the fuck up, man. You're going to mess me up. I got to play. Just shut up." He's having a blast. They're all having fun because they know what it means. They know what it means to me, right?
Right.
So, okay, so comes to the guitar solo. Gilmour turns around, looks at me, and goes, "Dare, dare, dare, dare," and then goes like this. Now, if you're a player, that means you're supposed to answer.
Yeah.
Turn up my volume. Dare, 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 dare. Okay. Next thing I know, I'm trading licks with David Gilmour. Okay. After about, 5 or 10 seconds of that, this big explosion happens in my brain for a nanosecond, right? It's like, let me get this straight. I'm on stage live as a member of Pink Floyd, trading licks with David Gilmour in the London Arena in front of 15,000 kids. Is that what the fuck's happening? Like, and it's just right. But you can't think like that for long because you'll mess up. But
Yeah.
all of that went through my head just like a ton of bricks, right?
Yeah.
So now we're trading licks, right? And now I'm having fun because I'm playing fucking Pink Floyd, playing lead solo. So so he turns around, and because it's the end song, everything goes off. The pyrotechnics, the robots, everything. Robots are coming out of the stage. The flying saucers are flying. It's like all this crazy shit. And so at the end, they do a reprise. They're so cute. Rennick turns around. He doesn't want me to mess up. Tim Rennick turns around and looks at me and he goes, like, I'm like, so song ends. I did get to when you're a player, you have your own licks, right?
Right.
I did have to sound like Pink Floyd, but there is a little lick that I play all the time. And I just snuck it in at the end because it would. I have this little lick that I love. It goes da 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 da. It's like bells. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
And I went, oh fuck it. And I just went da 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 da. I figured nobody's gonna get mad. And I was able to put my 2 cents of my player into Pink Floyd, right? So the crowd goes crazy. And I don't realize, but it's the end of the show. I don't leave the stage. Gilmour motions to me to come up to take a bow because I am on stage as a player now.
Yeah. Yeah. At
Right?
the end.
So
Yeah.
I have this. I don't know if you can see this. Does that show up?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. What's wrong with that picture? That's David Gilmour, Nick Mason, Scott Page, and whoever that other guy is.
Who's that other guy on the left?
Yeah, who is that? Who's that guy? All right, so I'm throwing pics into the audience, going, "Hey, man, see you next time."
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking riot. So I get off stage, and the nicest thing was that John Caron, who's a professional, he plays with both. When those guys split up, because Caron plays Pink Floyd music, he plays both with Roger when Roger goes to tour the Wall, and he plays with Dave Gilmour when Pink Floyd tours, and even
Yeah.
played with David when David had a solo tour, because he's the guy that knows how to play all the parts after Rick Wright passed away. So Caron knows all these parts. Caron walks off the stage and he looks at me and he goes like this. And man, I was like, that's all I need. I just was like, you know what? Just let me know that I really played well, that I held my own, that I belonged there, that I wasn't just a poser. And that made me feel like $1 million. And then there was a party afterwards. There's always a party. It's record business. It's a good God, there's so many parties. So I had a choice. I could go as a record guy, but I'd been a band member, and in England, they're on a different label. They're on EMI. So I went, my wife was there. I said, Sharon, look, I got the badge. Like, I'll be a band member now. Like, go to the break. Okay. It's hysterical, right? I'm sitting next to Dave when people are eating food and everything. Now, so people are coming up to me and him, right?
Like you're in the band, and
so people are coming to me going, oh my God, you played so well. Oh my God, that was amazing. Like triple sinceres. It's like overdone. These are record people. And I nudged Dave and I go, Dave, are we like that? Like, am I like that? And he's like, kinda. And I'm like, I'll tone it down in the future, right?
Yeah.
Because now you're on the other end, right? You're seeing how it is. But I would say that was the best gift I ever got. Outside of having kids, of course. I mean, but in the record business, that was the greatest gift I ever got. It was a thrill of a lifetime, because I don't know how long was Run Like Hell, 6 minutes and change. Forever, how long that song is, I was in Pink Floyd for real. I was in Pink Floyd for 6 minutes or whatever seconds it was, for real, in front of an audience.
Made your dream come true. Yeah.
You can't. I don't think you can get better than that. And then I used to tease Gilmour years later. Dave, band doesn't sound quite the same without me in it. I was like, he'd laugh and go, "Yes, you're right." But
Not quite the same.
Yeah, but anyway, thrill of a lifetime. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so as we wind down, I'm curious, like, are you still friends with these guys? Do you still talk to them? Do you still go to
when you see, in our business, you see people when there's an occasion to see them. Now, Gilmour used to send me Christmas cards for a lot of years, back in the day. But because they live there or wherever they live, you only see artists when they're on tour. So you sort of see them when they show up. So yeah, when Nick came and did the Saucer Full of Secrets tour, I can't remember, it was a couple of years back, whatever. Of course, we always, we go backstage, and, to say hi. It's like, thankfully, it's like old friends. You never know, because artists can be different. I've been lucky. The people that I worked with and bonded with have been fabulous, and so you would see them on occasion. I got to go to Bob Geldof, and I have stayed close. I don't even know how that happened, but I got invited to his wedding in the south of France, which was beautiful. And so the answer is, when the times happen, you see them. I mean, like the lead singer of Blue Oyster Cult lives, half a mile away from me. We're friends, but we never became people. Like in the beginning, I used to go for barbecues and everything, but we parted separate ways. So it's not like I'm going out to have a beer every night with, Keith Richards or something. It's not like that. But if you see people, you get a hug and a, hey, how you doing? Kind of a thing,
Yeah. Well, it's incredible. And, again, I know not too many people read the book yet, but it's coming out April 1st. And
yeah, it comes out April 1st. If look, this is so funny. I don't even know how to say this. I guess I would just tell people if you want it now, it's available for pre-sale. I mean, if you go to Amazon or Barnes and Noble, or, and you click it, they deliver it to you on April 1st. And I guess I should say the title again, because that would be a good promotion.
That's a good time for that. Sure, go for it.
If you're interested in this book, it's called Gliders Over Hollywood. And when you read the book, you'll know what Gliders Over Hollywood is about. But I just, I wrote it because I just wanted to share these stories. It's not a me book.
No, no.
It's a me book. It's not, that's what it's designed for. It's just, hey, all this stuff happened. You need to know about it. Hopefully you'll want to know about it. Hopefully you'll laugh like crazy because you won't believe half the shit in it. So,
it's crazy that, I mean, like, it's too much for one lifetime, really. I mean, and it happened to you, like you were there for this moment in this scene, and kind of not even just there, but help make it happen. And I mean, that's so interesting to me. I mean, I love reading people's memoirs, but I'm really, because I love people's stories. I mean, that's why I do this show, right? But it's just so cool to hear. I mean, from these perspectives and from the other side, because I'm talking to the bands, I'm talking to artists,
to the artists.
And to hear how much you did for the music scene and how you impacted these artists that I completely respect, and and haven't have been listening to them for ages, but never met them myself, or in a lot of cases, but just such respect. I want to thank you for that. So
yeah, no, yeah, quite welcome. It was a magical time, and I was blessed to be there, honestly.
Yeah. So last question. I mean, what now? I mean, you have a band of your own. I know you play some shows yourself. Keep yourself up.
You know what? I'll tell you something fascinating for anybody who's watching, who's getting older and think, oh my God, I'm getting older. Don't think like that, because I've been playing guitar my whole life. And you want to know when I became a really good guitar player?
Age 69.
69, 70 years old.
Yeah.
That's when because I really went for it. I'm going to take some lessons. I was always an able player, but I wanted to be good, and I finally had time. So it's never too late to do any of this stuff. So no, I have a band called Blues Next. Started as a blues band. It's morphed into so many different things, but I love to play. There's nothing like it for me, and especially rock music. It just lights me up. I can't, it's just in here. It's just to play rock. When I come home, from a rehearsal or a jam session, I can't go to sleep. I'm just too wired from having played this. And when you play in a band, I'm telling you, when the whole band is just happening, it's euphoric. And so every other week we rehearse. We don't play out that often. When I first started the band, I thought, oh, we'll play every Friday night. And then I went, oh shit, that's going to be work. Like
that's a lot, yeah.
Oh shit, we're going to have new songs, or I don't want it to be work. But we play out. We're like this band that people know about, like it's kind of secret. Oh, Blues Next is playing. Shit, everybody shows up, and then we play, and then we don't. But I like it like that. And then when we play, we rehearse really well, and we play good, and we try to play songs that some hit songs, but you have to play cover songs because that's what people want. It's not like the old days where I thought everybody would want to hear the blues, but they want to hear the songs they know.
Yeah.
But we'll play Tom Petty, but we'll play maybe some of the lesser known Tom Petty songs, or maybe just not the super big hits, but it's still blues oriented. So we play literally, we play a lot of ZZ Top stuff because Billy Gibbons is a fucking genius, and all that stuff is so great. But I love to play, and there's no other feeling in the world. It's one thing, when you listen, you can get wound to rock music, right?
Yeah.
But when you play it and you're in the middle of it, and the amps are blaring and the drums are beating, fuck, it's like rivals.
Like it.
I mean, it's like, that's how good it is. It's something. So yes, I still do that. I'll do that till I drop. It's like And I have great grandchildren now, which is hysterical. You know, we had kids, which is big enough, but it's like these grandkids, like, where did you guys come from? That's a granddaughter sitting on my knee, and she's going, Taylor Swift. And I go, no, no, man. I'll listen to Taylor. You need to hear Key to the Highway, man. You need to hear Freddie King. You know, it's like I'm back to the old guys. Forget Eric Clapton. You need to hear Freddie King, BB King, Albert King. We're fighting over the computer. You know, okay, I'll listen to, you know, BB King, and then you got to listen to, you know, whoever. And I'm like, okay. So it's like we have a lot of fun.
I have the same thing with my son. I'm trying, trying to influence him in music, and he doesn't want to.
How old is he?
He's 11, and I'm going to see AC/DC at the Rose Bowl in April, and I've hit tickets, and I'm like, we're going to see AC/DC from the pit, and his mom's like shutting it down and everything. Like, she's like, it's too loud. He's gonna want to leave, and you're not gonna want to leave, and and you're right. I'm like, you're right. I'm not going to leave the pit if I'm at an AC/DC show. It's like going to a rock and roll museum, kind of, but I'm like, yeah, driving to LA, and I'm not going to leave the pit if you.
No, tell me about it now. AC/DC, you're going to see them? Are you?
Yeah. They're coming, and I can only imagine. I've never seen them live, but I can only imagine it's my last chance. So I'm like,
no, you have to see AC/DC.
Yes. Yeah.
My son Sam, who grew up with Matchbox 20 and all Train and all these less than exciting bands, you know, I made it an effort for him and my older son Adam to take them to shows so they could, you know, like we'd go to Matchbox 20 and Sam would go, Dad, it's kind of boring. Can we leave? And I'm like, yeah, I'm here for you. I said, you know what, Sam? What you need to go to a real rock show. And AC/DC had signed to Epic, and they were going to do one big show in New York at the Roseland. I said, you need to go to a rock show. I take Sam to see AC/DC, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's never seen rock like that, right?
Yeah.
And the crowd's out of their minds, and the music's blaring, and there's some guy in a look-alike, you know, Brian hat and a cigar talking in Sam's ear. And he's never had that experience. Like, imagine a blank slate and you take that to AC/DC.
No.
He went, he was like, Dad, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. So we're walking out, and he says, I know I don't have any money, but would you buy me an AC/DC hat? Because he wanted to wear the colors, right? I was like,
yeah,
like, I'm going to get you a hat. I'm getting a T-shirt. He goes, of course. Like,
yeah.
You know, so yes. When are they coming?
Early April.
Yeah.
In LA.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a must see because it's a lost art.
Yeah.
They'll still bring it because that's who they are. You know, it's great. The guy's still playing an SG, plug it right into fucking stack of Marshalls. There's no fancy pedals. Just turn everything to 11. Right.
Rock.
The greatest bands of all time. I was lucky to see them a few times. I was lucky to see them when they had the cannons. They had okay.
Wow.
This is like what rock and roll used to be. Okay.
Yeah.
Real cannons. Okay, on the fucking stage. For those about to rock, and a fucking cannon goes off. Right. Like, it's fucking loud. It's louder than Marshall Lance. It's a fucking cannon. Right. For those about to rock. So, not to be maudlin, but my older son, who was lucky enough to see a lot of shows, because I used to take the kids whenever I could.
Yeah.
I said, I said, me and Mom need to make plans, and we're just going to make plans to be in a place where our parents were, just so you know. And I said, now, when it comes my time, that I want it to be a party, right? I don't want people in black. I want them in colors. I want popcorn. I want Rolling Stones. I want Beach Boys music. You understand? That's what it's going to be. Oh, no. He says, Dad, no, I got the whole thing. He goes, I've already got it. I'm going to get a cannon, right? Right graveside, like, and we're going to play For Those About to Rock, and the fucking cannon's going to go. I was like, Adam, I love you. Like,
yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
That's what I want.
So awesome.
Anyway, look, I really
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah.
you having me. I hope I haven't bent your ear too much.
No, 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 we just scratched it. I mean, I could talk to you about every story in your book and everything. Like no, this has been such a joy, Rap, and I appreciate you taking the time and writing the book and sharing these stories because I eat it up and getting to hear the emotion and the excitement and everything that live talking to you is just, I mean, it's brilliant. So thank you for the interview and for the book.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for the time.
That was my interview with Paul Rappaport here on Concert Pipeline. And normally we would wind up with some music news, and there is a good amount of it to cover. Coachella weekend one just wrapped up with weekend two on the horizon. But there were a lot of guests and a lot of stories just from Coachella in the this past week, which I'm going to save them for our show next week so we can dive into that a little bit deeper. But thank you for tuning in. Again, next week on the program, we have Lexi Jones, and we'll get to talk to her about her music and some of the projects that she's been able to be a part of. So for all of us here at Concert Pipeline, I'm Steve Jones. We'll catch you next time.